Hey. Hi, welcome back, everyone. I hope lunch out in the sun was nice and relaxing. I got kind of cold in here, and so the sunshine was really, really nice. Sorry, I'm not actually trying to clear my throat in a teacherly way. I just have stuff in my throat. It's great. So for those of you who have joined Slack but haven't found the slide deck, I shared the link in the Kubernetes dev channel. Just so you can all have it and use it for reference and clicking through things. We don't have too many slides left to go. It's just nice if you want to go and find the reference. It's going to be there. I also fixed that broken link from earlier. Cool. So one of the things I was going to show you, too, is one of the top-level get-started things that you see when you look at the Kubernetes repo. I was going to show you a make quick release. And the reason I'm just going to show you, you can try running it on your machines, but I honestly don't know how long that's going to take, and it kind of depends very much on your individual setup. But if we go to, nope, I'm going to go to Kubernetes. Nope. It's not a day where I don't mistype Kubernetes. And right here. So to start developing Kubernetes, this is a really, really short blurb, and it is deceptively short. But I'm going to show what happens when you make a quick release. And here we are. Nope. CD. Kubernetes. OK. So what this command does, it builds all your Kubernetes binaries, but for a Linux environment. So it is running all these scripts in a container automatically. And excuse me. And basically, this is not really a super. It's not really a super useful thing for local development, depending on your environment, but it is the version of release that you would use if you wanted to build those specific binaries. There's also a make release command that builds all the binaries for all of the operating systems, and the reason I can't show you that is because it takes a better part of an hour to run. So that's super fun. But here you're going to see that we are building Go targets for Linux AMD 64, which is what you will want to run inside your cluster. While that is finishing, let me go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about how to find your first issue to work on. There are a couple of options. Contribute, I think. Yeah, so on any GitHub repository, if you go to the root of the repository and hit /contribute, what will pop up a lot is a set of issues that are good first issues, or that an algorithm recognizes as good first issues. So not all of these will have a good first issue flag, but some of these will be more accessible than others. We try to standardize the use of good first issue across the community. The really problematic part about good first issues, about filtering with GitHub tools is, again, we don't necessarily use a lot of GitHub tools for community management. And so if you click on some of these, you'll see that there's a lot of comments already. So on this one, because you cannot assign yourself on an issue because we have disabled that feature due to automation, and if you are not a Kubernetes member, you don't necessarily have access to the bot commands. So if some of you have been trying the bot commands that we did before lunch on other repositories, you may find that you can't use all of them, and because some of them are tied to membership. I will talk about membership in a hot second. But one of the ways to select, to assign yourself to a good first issue is really just to write a comment saying, I would like to work on it. There we go, and this is actually a perfect example of what I just talked about. I literally just pulled this up the top of the good first issues. They tried to use a /assign, and our automation says only Kubernetes members and repo collaborators can be assigned. So unfortunately, if you are going to use the contribute tool, a lot of the time you will find that what seems a good first issue already has somebody assigned to it. It's always important to just kind of read the comments first. A better way to find your first issue is to go ask a SIG. Hey, where can I help? What needs to be done? And keep in mind that not all contributions to Kubernetes are to Kubernetes core. There are many, many sub-repositories with many, many open issues that you can browse and see if they are a good fit. Again, the best way to narrow down your search is to talk to someone, which is why at the end of the day, we are having the SIG meet and greet, which is specifically for new contributors to meet current contributors and to figure out ways to collaborate together. Please don't miss it. I don't know what I had for lunch, but it really went into my throat. Let's see. So that is one of the hurdles. Membership. So if you follow this link, you'll find the rules for community membership. Has any one of you opened a pull request to Kubernetes and seen the label not OK to test? Yeah, that's the label that you don't see when you are a member. And basically, it's as the bot says, it says, hey, I need a Kubernetes org member to come and say that you're legit. And then somebody will come around. Hopefully, has this issue been resolved for everybody, or do people have a PR that is languishing and no one said it was OK? OK, good. All right. Generally, what happens is someone else will come around and see you and say, OK, no, it's fine. This is legit. Again, this is kind of, it's a way to prevent too much spam, extra, that sort of thing. I promise I can talk. I remember how to talk. So anyway, membership to the Kubernetes org isn't really that much of a hurdle. So currently, this is the membership ladder. Currently, all of you are contributors. Membership requires that you contribute in a significant way to the project, which can be a few PRs. It can also be community management. It does not have to even exist on GitHub. And you need 2 sponsors from, I believe, different SIGs that say, yes, this person should be a community member. I see a question. Different companies, thank you. Thank you for the correction. Yes, it has to be from different companies. So, sorry? Oh, thank you. Repeat the question. Yes, the question, it wasn't a question, it was a comment. You need 2 sponsors, and they have to be from different companies. I was wrong and said they had to be from different SIGs. Please forget what I said. Thank you so much. Most of that you'll be able to see here. these are all the requirements, and the way that you become a member is you open an issue and then mention your sponsors and follow the steps on the template. Most of this is pretty self-explanatory by this point. Let's go back to the chart. Once you have achieved membership, which really should be automatic, once you have gotten a couple PRs in, you should know enough people to sponsor you. The next step is to become a reviewer, which means that you are intimately familiar with a part of the code base that has an owner's file. And again, the way that you become a reviewer is by pull request into the owner's file. I have shown you what the owner's file looks like on the contributor playground. Basically, what you do is you submit a PR, add yourself to the reviewer list in the owner's file, and say, I should be a reviewer for this reason. And the reason is usually, I've done a lot of work on this, and I understand how it goes. Similar process for an approver. This kind of hits on the difference between the approved label and the LGTM label. If you're an approver, you are highly experienced, and you are one of the main contributors in a specific sub-project. This ladder looks really, it looks like it is one thing, but it is in fact possible to be an owner of a certain part of the code base and a mere member in certain other parts of the code base. So it looks like this is just one ladder, when in fact it really just means your level of expertise where certain parts of the code are concerned. Does that make sense? OK, let's check on that make. Oh, it's still running. Cool, cool. Scroll back up and see what's happening. So this is all running in a Docker container. By the way, if you want to run make quick release, there is a really, really common gotcha, especially on macOS, where it will not run unless in your Docker menu under Advanced, you set the memory to at least 6 gigabytes. I did 8 just to be on the safe side, but I promise you I tried to run it last week with 2, which is the standard setup for Docker on Mac, and it does not work. Let's see. Well, it's still running, so that's good. Similar on Linux? Yeah. Thank you. So using make quick release on Linux, just to repeat what you said, you tend to run out of memory pretty quickly as well. So you should always set your maximum memory higher in your Docker settings. Part 2 of the reason I'm not running a plain old make release, although that's mostly a matter of time and less a matter of memory. Waiting on tarballs. All right, so now we're building tarballs. And we're building images as well, and I will show you where those live once the make command is done. In the meantime, do we have any questions about membership, owners' files, labels, automation? A lot of this is documented, and the bot should help you out. But we have a question over there, and there's a mic on your table. So let's have that go on the recording.
I was wondering, is there a simple way to find all of your contributions to the Kubernetes SIGs, Kubernetes orgs? I know that like the dashboards show that, but it's kind of hard. Like you can see that in Grafana if you know how many contributions you have, but.
So your specific contributions?
Exactly. So. Sorry. Yeah, so part of the requirement to join is that you have contributions, right? And you're meant to list those in your GitHub issue. Like, finding those in my GitHub history is quite difficult, and I don't remember.
Oh, so I can show you what I do, because I'm the kind of person that is horrible at dashboards. So here's what I do. I go and I sort of remember which repo I contributed to. I go to pull requests, and I literally filter by my authorship. That's a little slow. I never look at my contribution graphs. Does anyone else have any tools that they like to use for their contributions? Shouldn't you use, this is an excellent question, and I really don't know. So I go is closed, author, me. So I can find my pull requests. But don't worry, because I think the rule of thumb is like 2 reasonably sized pull requests, and that is enough for your membership. So chances are you're going to remember on that score at least. There should be contributor graphs on your personal site at GitHub, so I would start looking there. And I can also, if you send me a message, I'll hook you up with the people who do the community stats. And maybe there's something that will help you out too. Okay, let's see, where's my make at? All right, we have images and tarballs. So again, let's see, we're going to go into output. And we can see release images, release stage, and release tars. So let's look at the release images first. Huh, interesting. And here they are. Interesting. So these are the images. Tar v. What's the one where you can just see? Is this the one? Oops. Nope. That's not the one. Okay, it's archive format. Let me double check real quick. I forget my tar commands every time because I don't use them very often. Tar. This is me and Tim debugging before. Nope. Hold up. I know how to do this. Ha, there we are. Okay. It's not the, oh, I did the dash. People, you need to tell me this. Okay, well, these are the images, that's right. So if I go back to the actual tarballs, so release tars. There we are, this is the one. And let's try this one. Here we are. Okay. So if you just kind of look at the tarball, you can see what's inside. So you see Kubernetes client, the kubectl binary, and you can do this for every one of these tarballs. If you like, you can test the strength of your computer and run make quick release and see what happens. Has anyone tried it? Yeah? Successfully or run into trouble with dependencies? They're still running, yeah. Especially if you run it the first time, it can take quite a while. And if you didn't allot enough memory, it can also just crash. So yeah, let us know when your run has finished. So this is always quite an adventure. All right, so the next thing that I'm thinking is you can kind of follow in parallel as I do this, and perhaps even open your own pull request. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a pull request to Kubernetes live. We'll see how this goes. The thing that I'm going to do is it's literally a code cleanup issue. It's a very, very simple one. This one's an unusual issue in that it has many, many opportunities for contribution. So if you really just want to know how the workflow goes and try out something really, really simple, this is a good one to start just to get used to just to get used to the feel and kind of look around the code base a little bit. It's literally a GoLint fix, so there's not going to be something extremely technical at this point. But I think it's a nice introductory issue, and helping out on it is also useful to the project at large. So basically, there is a list called GoLint failures right here. That is a list of files. That is not the, let's just do normal view. There we are. That is a lot of, that is literally a list of things that got added. There's a lot of packages in here that are not passing their GoLint tests. And if you don't want to deal with it at the time, you add it to GoLint failures, and then the test will skip GoLint for these packages. But the idea is, let's try and clean up this list, remove the package from the failures list. By the way, caveat, some of them are there for a reason, because there are some features in the Kubernetes repo that will never agree with GoLint, and that's just the way it is, so be aware. But the idea is, pick one of these, or more, depending. Go to this spreadsheet, because that's how we track them, so we don't have to have literally 300 individual issues that are basically all the same, and add your particular package to the list. So what I did right here is I selected package APIs apps, put my name on it, and said, hey, I'm doing this as a Kubecon demo. Let me show what is happening here. Let's see, how many branches do I have open? Oh, very good. Cool, cool. Fortunately, we have step-by-step instructions that are super easy to follow. Remove one or two packages from the list. Let's see, what package did I want to remove? Package APIs/apps. But I have done some of this work already, just so I don't have to type too much in front of you. No, git checkout. So if any of you are actually bored right now, go ahead and pick one of those packages from the list and follow these steps. And well, make sure you write it down first so you don't double up on work, and see what happens. Actually, sorry, I need to go back and make sure my master is up to date, right? So I know I did that like, what, an hour ago? Oh my gosh, it's still the same. It must be because it's KubeCon. It's totally KubeCon. Let's just double check, because I don't trust you, Git. Nice. It's definitely KubeCon. All right. However, I only updated this one late last night, so I want to make sure that one's up to date. Cool. All right. So what I have here is I removed from GoLint failures package API. What did I remove? Package APIs apps. There's also apps/v1, apps/v1 beta 1, but the one I removed was package/API/apps. You can actually look at it on the git diff. There we are. There it's gone. Now I'm going to follow the next step on that pull request, which is run hack/verify golint.sh and look at the logged errors. So confession, I have removed most of the logged errors last night because there were like 10 of them and I didn't want to bore anybody, but I think I left one. So this is one of those handy scripts that I referenced earlier. It lives in the hack folder. Sometimes you can look at them and use them to your benefit. This will take a while as well. So in the meantime, does anyone have a question? This is great. Cool. So in that case, I encourage people to go ahead and try this on their machines with another part of the code. Go ahead and, yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but it'd be a cool way to get started. And what's going to happen is cleaning up those golint errors will force you to look at parts of the code and understand it, because you're going to have to, a lot of these golint errors are, this function wasn't described properly. It doesn't have a description on it. It should have a description on it. And in order for you to describe, well, guess what? You have to figure out what it does. And I'm going to take some water. Is anyone trying this, by the way? Yay, I'm so excited. Yes.
Is there a way to have golint just looking at the one package that errors?
I do think there is, and it totally went out of my head, and now I started this thing, and yeah. I think you can honestly just use your local golint. I mean, that'll work. I think I did that a couple times. Oh, the question was, is there a way to use golint just on the package that you're hacking on? I think there is, and I don't know what it is right now. If anyone stumbles upon it, please share. Right. I was going to, while we wait, I was going to talk about the CLA for those of you who had trouble signing up. Kubernetes, community. So a lot of the developer workflow lives on the Kubernetes contributor guide, which hopefully will be going up on a real website in the near future, or perhaps already has. And the very first item on the list is sign the CLA. CLA stands for Contributor License Agreement. The trickiest part of the Contributor License Agreement is that for those of us who work at companies, it's basically, the way it works is that your company signs a Contributor License Agreement with the Linux Foundation. So, or with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, actually. So if you are an individual, you go to individual sign up, but there's two options: sign up to contribute to this project as an individual. This works if you're a private person, but if you're employed at a company, your company will have a group CLA, and then you have to find out who that representative is, and you have to have them add you to the list of approved contributors, and then you have to make sure that that ID and your GitHub username are in fact the same. There's a couple of common there's some troubleshooting that we also link to, I believe. So this is what the sign up looks like. And I'm not going to log in right now because I always forget what the heck is going on there. If you do have history, sorry. if you do have trouble getting your CLA signed, you can complete signing process, blah, blah, blah. Here's the gotchas. Look for an email. Troubleshooting. Here we are. If you encounter any problems signing the CLA, log a ticket with the Linux Foundation through the support site. I have a question in the back. Is there a microphone on your table?
Hi.
Hey.
Something that made it for me quite troublesome was that the email address needs to be the one you use for GitHub. So for those people who don't want to use the same mail address on other platforms or things like that, you cannot do that here.
Yeah, it is one of the most common gotchas. In fact, we have. Let's see, where's the troubleshooting? And sure, yeah, your GitHub email address has to match the address you use to sign a CLA, and you need to set your Git email. Also, I believe at the contributor playground, and I apologize that there's no link here, we have a quick troubleshooting link. Let's see, under exercises, yeah, right here. CLA versus Git author. Sometimes people run into that. So this is a really good debug location. In fact, I should make a link for signing the CLA and make sure that this troubleshoot is linked somehow. Yeah, anyone want to pick that as their first issue in Kubernetes community? Totally be my guest. I'll LGTM it. OK, so where are we at here? All right, installing GoLint from vendor. Whoopsies. I meant to highlight. Errors from GoLint. Package, APIs, apps, types.go. Exported type. Replica set condition type should have come in or be unexported. I am so sorry about the inane verbiage from GoLint. It's pretty great. But let's go and find it, OK? Line 783. In this one, I believe, replica set condition type. All right. This is, I'm going to make my screen a little bit brighter. I'm so sorry. Better? OK. So if you kind of read through this file, you can tell that there is another, that there's a type replica set condition. And it has a subtype, type of replica set condition. Too many types. But basically what's happening here is somebody declared that a replica set condition type is a string and recasted, as a type. And then right here below, they already documented what that is, but didn't do it at the type declaration up on line 783. So really, all I have to do here, without going too deep in what a replica set condition is to say replica set condition type. I mean, it's kind of nice that the name of the type is super self-documenting, but it does not make the GoLinter happy. Replica set condition type is a type of replica set condition. I promise not all of these linting errors are going to be quite this inane. Some of them take quite a bit of work. But this one's just for demo purposes. I don't necessarily, if I am going to fail in front of an audience, I want to fail in interesting ways, not in like, oh, I typed the wrong thing ways. Stop. OK. Nice. Git commit. Demo commit. OK. All right, so let me go ahead and look at my Git log. OK, I have 3 commits. I removed APIs apps from lintignore. I made my prep commit yesterday evening, and then I have my demo commit today. It is customary to squash your commits a lot of the time when you open a PR and you work on it, eventually you wind up having 10 different commits because you keep pushing to the same PR, and finally your reviewer says, yep, looks good to me, we can merge this. After you squash, and then you have to squash. You have to manually squash. There is no merge button. There is no squash button. So what I'm going to do before I open the PR, because I know what's going to happen, is I'm going to squash first. So somebody remind me, how do I do an interactive squash rebase? Git rebase -i, and then head, and I want to do the last 3 commits. I think this is right. Cool. Actually, yeah, that's perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete all these lines. And I'm going to write a new commit message. Removes, nope, I'll never do this. I'll never, ever. Let's do insert. Okay, thank you. Okay. So I want to have kind of a descriptive commit, but it's not a really big one. Removes package APIs apps from lint ignore with documentation changes with changes. Okay. Cool. So now because somebody was confused by my opening a pull request from the command line, I'm actually just going to go to Kubernetes. Wait, no, I have to push first. Let's check the log. Perfect. Git push. All right, let's go to Kubernetes. Nope. Let me check my Git remote. Yep. Aha, there it is. Nope. New pull request. See, I never do it anymore. Changes. Compare across forks. There we go. Compare. Kubecon demo. Kubernetes. Ta-da. OK, here we are. All right. So the next thing that will happen is that you get a pull request template. And most of this is pretty self-explanatory, and I'm just going to walk through and explain what I'm doing and why. And if any of it is not obvious, do let me know. So thanks for sending a pull request. It is polite to delete most of this to avoid cruft in your pull request description. And there is a question.
Hi. I just want to ask, according to the docs, we should use command-style subjects, like remove packages. Is this something you're picky about, or?
Well,
okay.
Clearly I'm not, but thank you for pointing it out. I like to be descriptive in my pull requests, right? I like there to be a top one-liner description, and if it needs to, and then put any explanations in the paragraph in my pull request description. I want everybody to be able to know what I'm doing and why. So one of the things that I'm going to put in this box is, I'm not going to say fixes. I'm going to say part of, and then I'm going to link the issue. Let me open this again. I'm going to link this issue. Part of that issue, basically, this is going to give everyone a really, really quick reference on like, hey, what are you fixing and why? Please always say, if you are fixing an issue, what that issue is in your pull request. If this is your first time, please read our contributor guidelines and developer guide. So those are some handy links for you. Please label this pull request according to what type of issue you are addressing, especially if this is a release-targeted pull request. This current pull request is not release-targeted. Again, we have some documentation for those required labels. Right now, we're doing a code cleanup. So ensure you have added or ran the appropriate tests for your pull request. Okay, well, I did run the linter. I didn't run the linter again, however. So let's see. Maybe I should do that first. All right, this will be a while. That's okay. I'm pretty sure I did the right thing. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep talking about the pull request template. So again, here, the template is literally going to send you to the right place. If you want faster pull request reviews, read how. So this kind of goes into your question from earlier about, how do I want to write and structure my pull requests so that I get reviewed faster? In fact, I think we should check this out and kind of go through there. This is in the Kubernetes contributor repo. Best practices for faster reviews. So a lot of this is kind of common sense, and if you've been contributing to a lot of projects at work or in open source, basically your main rule is make it as easy as possible on your reviewer. Make it really obvious what you're doing and why. If you are not sure about something, put that in your pull request description. Say, I'm not sure if this is the right approach, but it turns out if I'm doing it this way, all these other things happen. What do you think? I know I said squash your commits. Squash your commits as much as they make sense. Basically, if you are doing two main parts, for example, you're deleting a bunch of old files and writing new ones in a different location, have that be two commits. Your reviewer may still ask you to squash, and after that, you'll have to force push. That's OK. But try to make your commits in a stepwise fashion so that it's logical to see what you're doing. Don't put multiple things in the same pull request. Always have it be the same topic. Open separate pull requests. Yeah, you'll have to find different reviewers, but you're probably also going to get a much faster review. Comment, test. We already talked about squash commit. Let's see, how's my GoLint doing? Still not there. The other thing, and this kind of gets back a little bit to the presentation, finding a reviewer. A lot of you asked about this. Who has struggled with finding a reviewer in the project? Yeah, it's really, really hard. So before I tell you how to find a reviewer, I'm going to mention that everyone struggles with this. And it's a huge project. There are contributors all over the world. I caught someone earlier saying, yeah, come to our SIG meeting. It's at 10:30 on Tuesdays. And I said, the person you're talking to lives in Kazakhstan, and you are on the US West Coast. So that's not accurate information. What I mean to say is everyone lives in different time zones. So you are not probably going to get an Insta review because the person that you tagged on your pull request, hey, please review, might be asleep or is on vacation or it's the weekend. Kubernetes folks generally don't like working on weekends, and you can actually see that in our contributor dashboards, or so I'm told. But basically, there are a couple of really good standards to follow if you want to find a reviewer. And we have some channels to make sure that everything you do is going to get reviewed. Number one, follow the bot prompts and assign the reviewer they ask you to. And we're going to see that as soon as I open my pull request. Number two, if there is an issue related to your pull request, and there might not always be, right? You might just see something that's broken and submit a pull request. That is totally acceptable and fine. But if there is an issue, go ahead and ping them. You use their GitHub username and saying, hey, I think I fixed it. What do you think? Look at the owner's file. Whoops. That is, in fact, what the bot does. Where did I go? Right here. Look at the owner's file. That's what the bot does. The bot looks at the owner's file and assigns someone, but maybe the bot assigned someone who's about to leave for Antarctica for 3 months. And ideally, that doesn't happen. Ideally, people remove themselves from owner's files if they can no longer be a maintainer. We try to keep it up to date, but do look in the owner's file, see if you can find someone else. I already mentioned sigs.yaml. That is where you can find a specific SIG that is in charge of whichever area. And again, I'm going to show you how to find that on my pull request. And if all that fails, you can use a channel called PR Reviews on Kubernetes Slack. Where is it? Channels. Did I not join? That's because I'm super not shy, and I actually find people's names on Slack and ask them, hey, I made a PR. But I totally understand that that's not necessarily an option for everybody. This is a very recent channel, and this is where you can post your PR, and you can see that there's somebody monitoring this. And Dims has been doing really, really great work. That's this guy. Just hoping to get back to people. So this is where you should post your PR if you can't find a reviewer. If you failed and you waited your 3 or 4 days and nobody woke up on the other side of the world and saw your pull request. So that's what you do. Let's see. Congratulations. All Go source files have been linted. Excellent. Let's go back to my pull request. Here we are. So we talked about how to get faster PR reviews. Follow the instructions for writing a release note. This one's interesting, and it only exists on Kubernetes as far as I know, though there's no reason why other subprojects shouldn't have releases. There is documentation. If you're making changes involving a release that need documentation, you need to write a release note. If you do not write a release note, your work will not be merged. If the PR is unfinished, we talked about that as well. What you can do is you can write work in progress in your PR title, or you can use the more common hold, /hold. This will hold your pull request, and automation is not going to pick it up. This will not be an issue because I doubt that I'm going to catch an LGTM today. So the next one, what type of PR is this? Uncomment only one. So this is kind cleanup. Whoops. So I'm going to uncomment, and because I like remove leading white spaces. Oh yeah, no white spaces. What this PR does, why we need it. General linter cleanup. Which issue? Oh, look at that. I can take this down. So if you have a PR that absolutely fixes an issue, you can say fixes issue number, and it'll auto-close it. In this case, we don't want that because we really don't want to close that issue because that particular issue has many, many, many sub-PRs. So do not use fixes. Everyone's going to be sad because we're going to have to reopen it. So that's why I just give a description part of. Special notes. Oh, sure. I mean, I could share that I'm demoing this in front of people, but let's skip it. Does this PR introduce a user-facing change? If no, just write none in the release note block below. None. We talked about the release note. Release note, none. All right. Okay. I think I'm ready to hit create pull request. I can always change everything with comments and labels after. By the way, common gotcha, you cannot edit your pull request to include bot commands. It will not pick up on edited comments or anything like that. You have to make a new comment. What kind of type of PR is this? Kind cleanup. All right, cool. So I have release note none. And then I have a couple of gray labels right here on the right. Needs kind. Interesting. Did I not? Oh, kind cleanup. Maybe there was too much white space or something. OK, needs kind. I did it wrong. Not sure what I did wrong, but whatever. Needs priority. OK, cool. So the priority label is usually, you usually do not touch that as a PR author. This is something that is part of the release process, and there's a lot of different kinds of priority, and generally your SIG is in charge of how urgent they determine this issue is. I'm going to go ahead and say kind cleanup. Let's see, what else is the bot telling me? OK, the bot is telling me things. We suggest the following additional approver, lava lamp. OK, I think I know who that is. I think it's, if they're not already assigned, sometimes the bot auto-assigns people. Oh, look at that. I already have some reviewers. If they're not already assigned, you can assign the PR for them by writing assign lava lamp in a comment when ready. And the bot is also detecting that I'm changing the API. The reason this is important is because sometimes, well, not in this case because this is really just a linter change, but if you make changes to the API, there's a really, really strict review process. The bot detected via sigs.yaml that the best SIG is SIG apps, and that this is an API change because I'm changing API files. And I'm going to remove, well, I don't know, I can leave both labels. Let's see what happens. Kind cleanup. It's not an API change, so I'm probably going to remove this. There's my kind cleanup label. And the way to remove labels is, I think it's /remove kind cleanup. I don't know. Let's find out. If not, I'm going to look at the bot. Oh, that's not the one I meant to remove. Oops. But now we know that that's how you remove a kind. OK. Remove kind. What kind do I want to? This is what happens when I talk and type at the same time. What kind do I want to remove? API change? Yeah. OK. Remove API change / kind cleanup. Cool. So things I should look out for when I open a pull request. Do I have reviewers? I do. That's an auto-assign by the bot. I might actually go ahead and assign another person just because the bot said, hey, you should assign this person. By the way, this process is under construction. Not all the time will the bot automation do this for you automatically. This works a little bit better on core Kubernetes because we have sigs.yaml, which literally describes which part of the core Kubernetes repo are owned by which people. Other repositories, if you are messing around with Kubernetes in Docker or customize or even test infra, that might not be the case, and you are going to follow the steps that the bot says. Go ahead and assign this reviewer. And here the bot also tells you that it needs approval from an approver in each of these files, hack owners and package APIs owners. So I'll go ahead and assign another person. And this works just like in the contributor playground. There we are. So now, what do I have with labels? I have CLA, yes. I have a kind, yes. It still has the needs priority label. I'm not going to give it a priority, just because that's not my job as a PR author. It doesn't need a release note. I have a SIG, and it's size S. So nice. So the cool thing about reviewing in the Kubernetes community is anyone can review any pull request and say, hey, I like this. This is cool. But only people with only people who are in owners' files can approve or can LGTM. And again, these rules are kind of fuzzy depending on which repository you're in. Cool. So the next thing that's going to happen is there's all sorts of automated tests that are building here. All right, I requested a review. Some checks haven't completed yet. So this is all of our testing infra. We're going to use Bazel. We're going to use E2E tests. And a lot of these are performance tests. So we can actually click through to some of these tests. And there are some checks that are green. All right, CLA, and a couple of skipped checks. And then Tide is the automation that will eventually merge the pull request once it has been approved. So let's go ahead and see what happens on the Bazel test details. All right, so here we are. This is our build log. So raw build log, it's still building. And here's how you can follow your jobs and find out why your tests failed. Here's a PR history. I don't know. What's that? That's interesting. Kubernetes. All right. Huh. Cool. Let's see what happens here. Right, PR status. So if you click on the hamburger, you can see PROW status. That is the test automation. PR status is PR status open. I am the author. Tests are running. Does not meet label requirements. And so you kind of have some action items in here. Command help gets you to the bot commands. Hooray. Ooh, sorry, I just closed it. The first one is kind of important. A lot of people don't know this, but if you go ahead /retest, it will completely re-trigger your test suite. Sometimes your tests hang, sometimes GitHub burps and the connections between the GitHub API and PROW break. So /retest is good if you want to rerun the entire test suite. You can also just run an individual test. So if one of the tests failed, this is an example, you can go /test pull Bazel test. So then there's Tide status. Tide is our merge queue, merge requirements. And there are some merge requirements. This is COPS, so this is a different Kubernetes sub-repository. Tide and PROW run on many repositories, not just core Kubernetes. Cool. All right, let's go back to my PR. All right, so we are probably going to have to leave this PR because these tests take a while to run. So when you do this yourself, be patient. Try to run all the local tests that you possibly can in advance. Are there any questions about this process? Hooray. Is there a mic on your table or excellent?
I come from the kernel community, and there you were talking about your squashing your commits versus having several and whatnot. Is there an expectation that your commits are always bisectable?
Bisectable.
So basically any one commit is always in a working status?
Any one commit is in a working status. I don't think so. No. I honestly, this has not been an issue for me. So if this answers your question, because I don't think I have the experience to answer it specifically. I have basically the accepted workflow is if somebody tells you to squash your commits on an open PR, you do that locally and then you force push. So I don't know if that necessarily answers what you're getting at.
Yeah, well, it allows the ability to run git bisect. So basically, if you have a good and a bad, it will then basically go through and run your set of tests on a bad or a good, and you mark each one as bad and good, and you'll actually find the commit that broke things.
Let's have.
Doesn't know about the PR.
Would it be possible to have the mic on there? I never use.
I'm just saying I don't like squashing commits either, but I'm saying every PR is going to be bisectable. So if you're squashing every commit within the PR, then every commit is bisectable.
Okay. As well, when you're depending on the maintainer, with the kernel, you'll often have where you actually run your tests won't necessarily always be on head. So your expectation for when you send your merge request, basically it shows that you've validated and ran your tests at a specific point. Are you guys normally doing things on head? Like, do you always rebase before you do a pull request?
So I always rebase before I do a pull request, just to avoid having to do so later, having merge conflicts. I mean, you can't always avoid merge conflicts. I had a couple of merge conflicts from hell on test infra at one time. That was mostly my fault because I waited too long on working on it. But to get to your question, yes, you should. It's good practice to rebase before you submit a pull request. Usually you won't run into problems, but you might, and then you should fix that before opening a pull request. The automation will detect if you need to rebase and fix your merge conflicts. As well, when the tests actually run twice. Basically, they run on your pull request until it's green. If it gets all the approved labels, then it'll join the merge queue. And the tests actually get run once more before they get merged into master. Our test automation actually handles that for you, so that you don't have to, like sometimes at work you have to literally get into a queue with actual people. That does not happen here.
Okay. And just one last comment. You, in your commit log, neither in your short or long log did you put the issue. You only did that in the git pull request. Again, in the kernel community, that would normally just be lost because no one's going to go look at GitHub. Isn't that something that you would want to put into your commit log instead of just in the pull request?
Ooh.
It's basically assumed that GitHub's involved. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we develop in GitHub, and the main reason why you would put this in is for your reviewer.
No, and that's fine. Like, it's just a difference in philosophy. In the kernel, basically, if it's not in code and if it's not in your Git tree, it doesn't exist. So in this case, yeah, if it's all driven by GitHub, that's a fine answer.
In fact, we actually sometimes have run into trouble for people putting keywords into commits and then automation starts happening between Prow and GitHub, and things get merged that we didn't mean to merge. So in fact, yeah, don't put it in your Git commits.
I think the bug that you're talking about was fixed in the last few weeks, and now those commits will be blocked until you fix them and force push them. But GitHub actually adds a commit when you merge in the workflow that Kubernetes uses. So what you're saying is that it won't be in your Git tree, it will be in your Git tree, and that merge commit is then bisectable.
Yeah.
But the merge commit isn't the PR description.
Well, let's take a look at my Git log. So right here,
It includes a link to merge pull request, blah, blah, blah. So
right here, I have merge pull request number 7773. So I can literally go and look for that pull request on GitHub and look at everything that happened with it. So yeah, that might preclude certain other types of automation for sure, but it's definitely discoverable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, the work in progress, is it reviewed? So how do you handle it at Kubernetes? Do you review work in progress, PRs? Okay.
Awesome question. Basically, one of the main reasons, well, there's really only two reasons to put up a work in progress PR, right? You want to test something that can really only be tested upstream live, or you want to solicit comments. And it's encouraged to open a work in progress pull request if you get stuck, if you say, hey, I got this far, I don't know what to do next. Can these people take a look at it and help me out? And that's an excellent reason to put a work in progress PR up. There is a third reason, and that is political. If you know that there's going to be debate about the way that you're going to solve something, go ahead and hold your PR saying, like, I'm putting this up here, here's my suggestion, I'm inviting comments. So invite help, invite comments, those are valid reasons to put a work in progress PR up. Yes?
So are there any particular,
It's for the recording, I know everyone can hear you.
I got you, yeah. So are there any particular differences between sort of how code submissions work and submissions for, say, a KEP?
Yeah, there are some differences. I mentioned earlier that we don't have necessarily all of the automations on each repository. For example, let's go ahead. What is happening? I only have one label left. Interesting. Okay, weird. So for example, right here, there are some labels that are required on every single repo, like the contributor license agreement is required on every kube.org repo. However, needs priority is not a thing for a KEP. KEPs don't have a priority. If you want to really, really get a feature in, it's on you to find the people and the work and the time to defend it and make it happen. The review process might be slightly different as well. In a KEP specifically, let's actually go to the repo and find out. I have personally not written a KEP. Maybe I should do that next. Basically, go ahead and read the top-level README and follow the instructions. The way that KEPs get approved is you have to find a SIG to support it. Basically, KEPs have SIG ownership. So you as an individual, if you have a KEP, a lot of the time, this will come out of involved discussion with your SIG. Or you have an awesome idea, and a SIG looks at it and says, oh, hey, yeah, let's collaborate on this. With everything, it's a collaborative issue. No one will keep you from forking Kubernetes and doing what you want with it on your own fork, right? But the way that KEPs discussion work is you write the KEP, people comment on it, and we track them. So let's look at one. Is it an issue? Add pod level resource quota. responsible SIG node. So basically, the first thing you do, well, one of the first things you do is you get the support of a SIG. And then your SIG will help you and work together with you to bring it into the project in a way that works for everyone. Does that answer your question? Yeah. OK. And then the thing with KEPs, too, is usually they're for Kubernetes. Well, actually, that's what they are. They are for the core repo. And then they have release targets as well. So that's when you get into the release process. Let's see. So we have a half an hour. And I can talk about the release process, since your question kind of led into that. All right, so we have a 3-month release cycle. That means there are 4 releases per year. This is a relatively quick turnaround for releases. Each Kubernetes version gets supported for the current release and the 2 prior. Each release has a release team that is put together from members of the community that fill roles like release team lead, bug triage, docs, publications like blogs, so press representation. And in fact, being on the release team is a really awesome way to get involved with the community, because a lot of it is project management oriented. But at the same time, you get to look at the cool features that are coming out. You get to know who's working on what. And the whole release team is generally a really, really fun, nice group of people that are all in the same crazy project together. And it's often good times, and often really, really stressful toward the end of it. If you want to talk about being on a release team, I can share my experiences on the release team last year. I was never release team lead, so for that, you might want to talk to Tim or Aaron, who are both here, Aaron Krickenberger and Tim, who's teaching the 101, as well as Josh Burkus. They would know a little bit more, but I'm happy to share. Last year, people were searching for members to be on the release team, and this year, I think there's a little bit of a wait list. The release process is, let's see here. The release process is, the release team workflow is documented in Kubernetes. I think it's SIG release, actually. SIG release is a little bit different in that SIG release is concerned with the release process as a whole, whereas the release team changes for each release, because it's a lot of work. So here's the release team folder, and it describes the roles of each release team member. CI signal, this is the person that watches, oh my gosh, are all of our integration and conformance tests running? Are they failing? Why? Which PR caused it? Let's see here. Let's go back. Right, so during each release, SIGs are going to have enhancements discussion, which is basically what happens if someone proposes a KEP. The SIG will discuss it, and when they're ready, they're going to assign it a milestone, which means a certain release number, and define exactly what's going to go into the enhancement. And that happens basically all the time. Depending on how far work on a certain enhancement is, during the beginning of the release cycle, people are basically telling the release team, I want this feature to be on the next release, and the release team is going to look at it and say, yes, no, okay. Sometimes the release is only stability focused, and we might not, let me make this big, and we might not agree that this should be on that release. That can happen. Then And then after the enhancements freeze, which is, this is it. These are the enhancements that go into this particular release. We are done after this. Feature work happens, and that ends roughly after 2 months. And the last month is spent on fixing bugs related to such features or old bugs that really need to be fixed. After that, we create the release branch off of master. And no code gets merged into that release branch unless you get special permission. You can still merge all sorts of PRs into Kubernetes master. That's fine, but that is now head and not the release branch. And then after code freeze, we take another week or so and cut the release. So this is kind of the release lifecycle. I mentioned that we do support not just the current, but also the 2 prior releases. That does mean there's patch versions that keep coming out routinely, and those get supported for a total of 9 months per release. So 3 months of it being the original new release, and then 6 more months of being supported while new releases come out. So we're in May right now. We're currently working on 115? I actually lost count. And 114 patch releases are coming out. So this is current. And then, oh, here we are, right, 115 and 116 is being worked on currently and will be continued to be supported for 9 months after it was cut. So this is a little bit of a demo of a graphic for branch management. There is an entire team that is there's a release branch manager, and then there's also the feature branch team. No, sorry. There is an entire team the patch release team, there we go, that determines after the main release has been cut, which patches make it into which version. And in fact, what you saw, whoopsies, on Kubernetes, here, a lot of the pull requests that say automatic pull requests, interesting. I'm sorry, issues. Failing tests. Did I do something weird? No. Every once in a while, you'll see automatic. Let's see, let me find the label actually. API review. Every once in a while, you'll see an automatic pull request that is basically a cherry pick into a cherry pick approved into a release branch. Cherry pick. Let's see. Do not merge cherry pick not approved. Oh, nothing. Okay, well, who knows? Maybe this happened. There should be some. Anyway, I'm not sure why I can't find anything right now. Ah, thank you. Obviously. All right, here we are. So yeah, so you see some pull requests that say automated cherry pick of a certain issue. This is actually of a pull request. So every once in a while, you'll see a pull request being made on master or the release branch, and we want to be able to pick those changes into the currently supported previous releases, and there's automation scripts for that. This is also the reason why it's always important to have your upstream remote be called upstream, because the cherry pick script actually relies on that. So yeah. So there's a couple of, so after the release tag 0.0 has been cut, all of the patches will be made via, not all of them, but most of the patches will be made via automated cherry pick. And here we go. And that's branch management for you. Very cool. Let's see, do we have any questions about the release cycle, about how to participate on the release team? Any questions on that score? I can only recommend it as a way to get involved with the community. If it's not your jam, that's fine too. There's many, many ways to contribute. I'm wondering at this point if there are, if among you have found, so I'm just going to ask you, do you think that at this point you have found an area in the Kubernetes code base where you think you might be able to get started working? Is there anyone who has a really hard time or has had a really hard time finding a good first issue? And I'm happy to help out. We are going to have the SIG meet and greet, and if any of you are not comfortable, just like, or not sure where to go, come talk to me, and I'll find you who to talk to as well. But let's just see a show of hands. Who's got a little bit better of an idea of where they want to get started and how? All right, and if you don't, I'm always happy to help. I would love to get you started. Yeah, let's see. Cool. We finished a little bit early, so we're supposed to have break in about 20 minutes. So, but why don't I just open the floor and have random questions? You can use that time. Any more questions? Everyone have the Slack channels that they want to join? Cool. All right. Last slide. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. I really, really hope to see you around.